Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Markets Today. I'm your host, Odhiambo Mogi. It's a beautiful day in the market. Numbers are looking up as compared to the previous month as the January effect wears off. Well, we have an interesting conversation lined up around cryptocurrencies, bitcoins and the likes. Stay tuned for that conversation. For now, I'm going to invite you to have a look at how the market fared today. We shall start with the gainers of the day. BOC Kenya led the pack, having rallied 9.93%, registering sterling price gains in the day, closing at 77 shillings and 50. Eveready East Africa turned around its fortunes, closing the day at 98 cents, which being 8.89% higher. Olympia Capital closed the day at 2 shillings 10 cents, being 5.53% higher. TPS East Africa 15 shillings 35 cents, being 5.5% higher. East African Cables was the last in the pack of the super gainers, closing the day at 1 shilling and 19 cents, being 5.31% higher. The losers of the day, it's interesting, I didn't see any banks in the gainers segment. The losers in the day included Williamson Tea, that led the losing team at 3.52%, closing the day at 130 shillings 25 cents. Home Africa Limited closed the day at 37 cents, being 2.63% lower. TransCentury closed the day at 1 shilling 27 cents, being 2.31% lower. BK Group 29.35, 29 shillings 35 cents, being 2.1% lower. Kenya Reinsurance closed the day at 2 shillings 23 cents and was the last loser at 1.76% lower. We go now to the movers. Herein lies the big movers. Safaricom traded 20 million shares, 200,000. What a day. What a real day. KCB Group closed the day at, traded 3.2 million shares. The Cooperative Bank traded 2.7 million shares. Equity Group Holding, it looks like this is where all the banks came. Equity Group Holdings closed the day at traded 1.6 million shares. And Kenya Power and Lighting is still making headlines, having traded 1.1 million shares. The movers are many. Well, we have an interesting conversation, and today my guest is a colleague here in the office. He's called Ian, and he will make sense of the tech industry, especially cryptocurrency, that many of us still find interesting. Karibu sana, Ian.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Are you used to being this side of the camera?
Actually, behind the camera.
Okay, what do you make of the movements of the market?
The movements in the market are not actually unprecedented. It is a move that will actually trace back to last year, because movement of the markets in terms of cryptocurrencies are usually cyclical. They usually follow a particular pattern that you can trace back to previous years, even way back to 2017 when Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies actually began to pick up heat. So the market today is doing, relatively lower, or is in rather a bear market as compared to the beginning of the week.
Before we go to crypto,
right?
Are you an investor in the stock market, or is it something that interests you?
I have a particular interest in the philosophy of, technology-driven markets like crypto, because this is a market that has no centralized person to answer to. It's decentralized. Okay. It is actually in the name.
So how did you get involved in the crypto market in the first place?
Actually, I got into crypto when I saw it on a gaming blog, or rather a gaming blog or website, because the technology market and crypto markets actually tend to go hand in hand, because cryptography, or rather Bitcoin, or the crypto market, was a result of the 2008 crash. And it's even in the white paper of Bitcoin that the major driving factor of the formation of Bitcoin was actually to guard, or rather safeguard, investors from a market crash, as what happened in 2008. So that's how I actually got into crypto as a gamer first, and there was buzz, from friends who are enthusiastic about gaming, and creating a revolution in how markets work, or rather how the financial banking system has been from the get-go.
So you are originally a gamer?
Exactly. Unapologetically.
Like, what games do you guys play that would actually result into a huge business idea like Bitcoin?
Right now, the biggest name, or rather the biggest trend in Bitcoin, are the metaverse, or rather NFTs. And there are these kind of games that are called play as you earn games, whereby you get to earn tokens that are actually rooted in cryptography or cryptocurrency as you play the game. Or you'll need to, in order for you to progress into a higher level on the game, or buy or actually acquire in-game purchases, you'll actually have to have a certain amount of cryptocurrency or a crypto token to actually advance in the game. So right now, pay as you earn games are actually the biggest name in crypto, followed by decentralized finance. So you'll find that there is a correlation between people who are gamers, because they are free-spirited and are looking for a change, or rather a revolution in how we do our banking, or how the financial system works.
Yeah. What are cryptocurrencies, principally speaking?
Okay, it will be very hard for me to actually lay down what a cryptocurrency is without first understanding what encryption, or rather cryptography, is. So in 1941, actually, I think during World War II, British and Polish cryptographers or decoders cracked the Enigma, which was a code that the Germans used to communicate with their ground-to-air defenses during the war. And from this highly sought after, or rather victory in decoding code and encrypted data, there was a very strong interest, or rather a boom, in the field of cryptography. So cryptography or encryption basically is, the best example is WhatsApp. When you send a message from your phone to another person's phone, in between, no one can intercept and actually read your data, because the data is encrypted. It's actually encoded in a format that a normal person, or a layman, like you and I, cannot read. So that very same basis of encryption now lends itself to cryptocurrencies. Now, a cryptocurrency is a digital currency that is not controlled or linked or pinned to any central bank. And transactions or transfers in this digital currency are linked and recorded on a digital ledger known as a blockchain. So basically, it is a way of transaction or transferring funds without the need for a middleman or a person that you answer to, or any decentralized bank. It's a decentralized way of transacting a currency in the simplest language possible.
Say that again,
It's a decentralized way of transacting digital currency that is recorded on an encrypted ledger known as a blockchain. In the simplest term, that is what cryptocurrency is.
It's interesting you'd say that. Economists like myself find cryptocurrency to be, for lack of a better word, ungrounded. It's not grounded because it's not legal tender. There's no government that is backing it. You can't just come up with something in technology and decide that this is currency. What do you say about this?
Well, I would not totally dismiss your concerns of there not being a backer or a person to be answerable to. However, the beauty of crypto is that it is managed by every single person that has invested themselves in the cryptocurrency. As I said, transactions or transfers of cryptocurrencies are encoded or recorded on a ledger that is available to every single person that is involved in mining, minting, and the transaction of cryptocurrencies. So in effect, if I make a transaction using Bitcoin per se, because Bitcoin is the largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, if I make a transaction for maybe, let's say, 1 Bitcoin, which is unfounded because 1 Bitcoin right now is going for 4 million Kenyan shillings, but that aside, it is recorded on a digital ledger, and that digital ledger will be available to every single person that has a node. A node is any machine or any device that is able to manufacture or rather mint Bitcoin. So that in itself is secure enough, because this ledger is not controlled by any one person. It is controlled by anyone. It's more or less like an open source. It's more or less like an open source form of banking. Yes.
My business education
yes.
Class
yes.
told me that money, definition of money,
yes.
is legal tender.
Yes.
Released by a government.
Yes.
A government that is generally, and a legal tender that is generally accepted by all people as currency.
Yes.
This thing you are describing sounds more like Greek. It is not legal tender. It is not generally accepted by everyone. Well, at least not several people in my circle. But you still consider it as currency?
Well, at the risk of sounding shrewd, or speaking out of line, if Bitcoin or cryptocurrency wasn't legal tender, I do not think we would have such an influx of institutional investors investing into Bitcoin last year. Actually, last year was the best year in terms of the volume of transactions, or rather investment, that was coming from institutional investors into Bitcoin. So, I mean, if really...
Institutional investors have been known to invest even in pyramid schemes. Their investing in Bitcoin does not make it any legal.
When one of the directors of Goldman Sachs actually, categorically states that they are going to be conducting research and investing in research into, finding or rather formulating their own cryptocurrency, I mean, there has to be something there.
Are there any countries that have released their own cryptocurrencies?
Well, recently we do have Nigeria, which proposed to form its own central bank digital currency, CBDC. We do have Russia, which has signed into law that Bitcoin will now be considered as legal tender. Or rather, they are formulating ways into which they are going to regulate the space, so that they can give their banks regulations into which they can onboard crypto trading onto their platforms. We do have El Salvador, which is actually the biggest investor into crypto. Their mantra is actually buying the dip, and at least a host of many other countries who are seeing the light and actually, joining the bandwagon of cryptocurrency.
Seeing the light, as it were.
Yeah, seeing the light.
Most interesting, bankers are generally uncomfortable with cryptocurrency. No. And for the good reason, it is not legal tender. Is this a threat to their banking trade?
The issue of bankers being against...
not necessarily against, just uncomfortable.
Okay, skeptical.
Skeptical.
Is the word.
Yes.
Skepticism against cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin as it may, is basically founded on one principle, in that cryptocurrency is a hedge against inflation, and is actually giving Bitcoin, or rather gold, a run for its money in terms of a store of value. Because as it may, in as much as cryptocurrencies are regarded as volatile or shifty, there is no one time when Bitcoin has ever crashed back to its original value. It always, yes, it does experience a bit of bear movements, but it follows a particular pattern. The Wyckoff distribution plan, which is actually a financial technical analysis, rather graph or table, that shows the regular movement of currencies that have been there since time immemorial, like the US dollar. So when an asset starts following, or rather its trends start drawing comparisons to the market movements of tried and tested currencies like the US dollar, then I mean it is following the trends, or rather that is the making of a store of value that is going to give the US dollar a run for its money. And that is why bankers and institutional investors, or people who have been involved in the financial or fiat currency or the traditional way of transacting or doing finance, that's why they're feeling a bit threatened, because it's giving traditional stores of value a run for its money.
Like, for example, I would not go for Bitcoin. I'll probably go for gold coins.
Exactly.
As opposed to Bitcoin.
And I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, because you guys, Bitcoin right now has gone down how many percentage points?
It has lost it's shed half of its value as at today, or the beginning of Monday. And
you won't experience that in gold.
And this is in comparison to the top that was last year, which was 69,000 US dollars. Now let me explain why this is so. Now in the beginning, or rather the end of last year and the beginning of this year, there has been a really great push to regulate cryptocurrencies and to really research. And this is a push by mainly the Federal Reserve of the United States and major nations that are now starting to look into cryptocurrencies and trying to figure out now what's this that's giving fiat currency a run for its money. Also, we did have Tesla reneging on its initial proposal that they are going to reaccept payments in crypto for the sales of Tesla vehicles. And also we do have China banning or rather,
so that significantly hit its demand.
It significantly hit its demand, and in the fear and greed index that is usually used to analyze market, it shifted the pointer to bearish, or rather
to the fear side.
To the fear side, exactly. So it is not unprecedented. It was bound to happen, but this is only a momentary. It is only a momentary shift to the red. And you quote me, because at the end of next year, you will come back to me and we'll have this same discussion as to why crypto is dropping, because it will go back to its original high. And that is
crypto is dropping, and that is the news. Everything else is an attempt to explain that news. But at the end of the day,
could I add something?
Yes.
Also, less than positive news about the economic outlook of 2021 has triggered, the drop in the prices of crypto. In that, the price of the US, or rather the inflation numbers weren't so positive. So people are now holding on to their money as opposed to investing into cryptocurrency, because people invested into cryptocurrency in 2021 because they had money from the stimulus packages. They had money from the savings they had, accumulated from working from home. And now here we are in 2022. Inflation numbers released by the Federal Reserve are less than optimistic. So people are basically holding onto your money, which is what you would expect. The stock market, the FTSE, the S&P, the Nasdaq crashed at the beginning of this year. And now that institutional investors are now tied into the crypto market, you would expect the prices of cryptocurrency to rather track the movement of traditional markets. So if the S&P crashes, crypto and Bitcoin obviously will crash in response.
Good attempt to explain where the challenge is, Mr. Ian, but we'll come back to it, because I still feel there's more than meets the eye. Apart from Bitcoin, do we have other cryptocurrencies?
The top cryptocurrencies by market capitalization, the top 5, if I can mention, are Bitcoin. We do have Ethereum. Bitcoin right now is trading at about roughly 36,000 as of today, at this hour.
What's the market capitalization?
About 720 billion US dollars. Ethereum right now is trading at about 2,500. We do have USDT, which is a tether to the US dollar. This is a cryptocurrency that is directly tied to the value of
Ethereum is trading at
2,500 US dollars.
Okay. What's its capitalization?
The data right now is a bit, but I'll get back to you on that one. The third was the USDT,
Yes.
which is always at $1 because it's tied to the US dollar. The third one is BNB, which is a coin released by the major exchange for cryptocurrencies, which is Binance, which is trading at 632 US dollars, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
And the fifth is USDC, which is also another stable coin. Oh yeah, they are stable coins. Stable coins are cryptocurrencies that are tied to well-known, fiat currencies.
No,
So
that sounds attractive.
it is attractive, but you'll always be stuck at $1.
It's, on one hand, it's safe. On
It
the
is
other
safe.
hand,
Actually,
with no
it is
returns.
actually a safe haven. You are right. When the price of Bitcoin crashes, the strategy for most crypto traders is to sell their crypto into a stable coin because it will remain, level. So when the market picks up, you reinvest back because whatever your assets that you invested into USDT will always remain the same.
That's boring.
Exactly. Wouldn't it be so much fun, would it?
Well, we are talking about cryptocurrencies, whether it is a promise of prosperity or peril. We're going to take a short break as we review our conversation. And when we come back, we'll talk about Bitcoin some more, and we'll ask ourselves how much of this can be used in Kenya. Don't go away. See you in a bit.